ばい。よいしょ。オッケー。よいしょ。はい。一応、告知しとく？一応ね。よいしょ。一応ね。さて。もうね、始まったらここなんですよ。もう、いきなり始まったらここだったんで。あれ、WST じゃないの？WST じゃない。こっちか。1日じゃない。あー、Edith Finch。あー、すごいこれ。
And I'm sorry about that. I'm just gonna start at the beginning with the house.
とりあえずことの始まり、つまり家のことから。これ操作性すげえ。操作面白。操作面白。走る。走るじゃなくてズーム。うわ
I lived here until I was 11, but I wasn't allowed inside half the rooms.
ちょっと待って。はい、こうね。
Inside the mailbox were bills from 7 years ago, marked urgent, open immediately.
これ操作面白。今日ね、多分私口動かないっす。
I hadn't been back since my brother Lewis's funeral.
マウスをね、引っ張ったり
In her will,
してね。
my mother left me a key, but didn't tell me what it unlocked.
マウスを引っ
Maybe she
張っ
thought
た
I'd
りし
know.
て。
Or she thought that the mystery would be enough to bring me back.
合ってるかな、道。
The truth is, even after I inherited the house, I never thought I'd come back to it. But now I had questions about my family that only the house knew the answers to.
これ道合ってる私。やばい。道がわからない。道が違う気がする、全然。ごめんなさい、道がわからない。橋があった、橋が。
The woods around the house have always been uncomfortably silent. As if they're about to say something but never do. The house was exactly like I remembered it, the way I'd been dreaming about it.
うわー、建てまし 建て増しの家。
As a child, the house made me uncomfortable in a way I couldn't put into words.
おー、なんかもう鳥肌立ってくる。
Now, as a 17-year-old, I knew exactly what those words were. I was afraid of the house.
うわー、なんかもう鳥肌立ってくる。なんだこの家は。
I hoped the key might unlock the front door. It didn't.
ちょっと待って、こうしてこうですね。
Looking in, I felt like the house itself had been waiting for me.
なんか実況をね、何度も何度も見たことがあるんで、このゲームめちゃめちゃ好きなんですよ。だから自分でも絶対やりたいと思ってて、なんとなくね、この辺に、そうそうそう、ここ。ああ。
Crawling through the doggy door used to be a lot easier when I was 11.
犬用のドア。
The power had been turned off the night we left.
まあ止まってるわな。車庫ですね、ここは。なんかもう画面が足りない。画面が足りないよ。なんかドラえもんみたいな丸いのがついてる。テニスボールか。もうつかない。あ、開く
For the
ね。
first time in years, I felt like I was home.
うわー、うわー、すごい。
But instead of a family, there were just memories of one.
エディス、エディエ、レイズ・ダーウィン、レイウィス・フィンチ。おー。
Like how after Lewis started working at the cannery, we all got sick of eating salmon. Except our cat, Molly. Or how only one restaurant would deliver to our house, so we had Chinese a lot.
風が。これ全部缶詰すげえ。どっちから行こう。こっちから行こう。うわー、すごいことになっとるわ。
The table was still a wreck from the night we left.
私たちが去った夜もテープが使っていた。そのまんまになっている。
It was like a bomb had gone off, killing everyone but sparing the furniture. My mom was the only one of us who could
Edie
imagine
Obacha.
Great-Grandma Edie living in a nursing home.
海風が来てるんだ。おー。 うわー、天井高え。
Nothing in the house looked abnormal. There was just too much of it, like a smile with too many teeth.
うー
Even the fireplace had a story. Edie told me the bricks came from the original house, after it sank.
おお、暖炉の中に入れるとか。暖炉の中に入れということ？でもなんか何も。うわー、いろいろある。ちょっと玄関の方見たいですね。なにこれ、なにこれ。あー、おばあちゃん家によくあるやつ。カールおじいさんの家にあったやつ。うわー、写真がいっぱい。うわー、素敵。うわー、うわー。
My mom wasn't much of an optimist, but she never stopped believing that my brother Milton was alive. A lot of things got left behind in the whirlwind of that last night.
2010年。ここから食卓に戻ってくると。階段行ってもいいし、こっち行ってもいいし。うわー、操作性面白い。
Great Grandpa Sven built a music box for Barbara, along with the rest of the house.
家の他の部分にもオルゴール？しゃがむとかないからな。
Mom always told me to stay out of the basement, so I wasn't too surprised when the key didn't fit.
なるほどね。地下室。すごい、標本がこんなに。2階行ってみようかな、じゃあ。2階行けるかな。
After Milton disappeared, Mom sealed up all the bedrooms. Then Edie retaliated and drilled peepholes.
覗き穴。はあ。はあ、本がこんなにいっぱい。写真もこんなにいっぱい。あ、だからこの覗き穴ね。
As a kid, I just assumed every house had peepholes and sealed rooms you weren't allowed inside of.
あ、覗き穴から戻れない。あ、戻れない。あー、戻れないのはこれ何？何か見つけないといけないのか。あー、なんか、戻れた。グレゴリー。カルビ。
My Grandpa Sam spent 7 years sharing a room with his dead brother, Calvin.
覗き穴だったんだ、これは。セブン・ホースタッド・フィンチ。エディ。
The last time I was in Edith Sr.'s room,
いい
I
で
was
す。
10 and she was painting my portrait.
すごい古めかしい部屋だ、ここは。でも鳥の絵が描いてある。開けられはしないのかな、まだ。 寝室をすべて塞いだと書いてあるから。あ、もう見れるんじゃない？バーバラ・フィンチが。でも、もうちょっと待ってくれ。3階もある。あ、3階はこれ何？
Mom must have locked the third floor stairs on the night we left.
3階を封じた。へえ。あー、バーバラだ。
Edie's father, Odin, built the original house.
オーディンによって建てられた。これバーバラの家。部屋。
Barbara was a child star for 2 years, until America grew out of it.
バーバラのね、物語私すごい覚えてます。ちはモリー
Molly
って
always
結
seemed
構
like a
最
girl I
初
could
に
imagine being friends with
見た気がす
if
る。
she hadn't died in 1947.
モリーって結構最初に見れるやつじゃなかった？あ、空いてる部屋がある。
I spent a lot of time playing in Great Uncle Walter's room. I think my mom sometimes regretted not sealing it up.
ちょっと海中恐怖症だから怖いかも。
Lewis told me there were secret passages, but I never believed him.
鍵がここにはまるの？ここの鍵だったんだ。
Turns out, my mom was really good at keeping secrets.
どうやってやるのこれ？こうか。
Now it
こう
was
か。
time to find out what my mom had been afraid of. Reading this, maybe it sounds like I had a plan.
すごい。こんな部屋があったとは。
From the paintings on the wall, it was clear my brother Milton had been here before me.
ミルトンがここにいた。へえ。
But I had no idea what was behind that door.
あー、素敵な部屋。
Just like I had no idea where all this was gonna lead.
ここがさっきのモデ
I
ィの部
grew
屋
up
だよね。
looking at Molly's room through the peephole.
モディの部屋だ。
Molly's gerbil had a tiny bedroom with its own even tinier gerbil cage.
モディの部屋に繋がってる。
Being inside for the first time, I felt like I'd stepped behind a painting.
うわー、こうやって入ることができるんだ。うわー、モディの部屋なんて素敵なんだろう。こっちは別のゲームやった時に結構もう個別で寝室の中にね、あ、こういう隠し扉になってたんだ。隣の部屋に行けるように。へー。うわ、なんて素敵。
I got the sense Edie had spent a lot of time here. Before my mom sealed the doors.
December 13th, 1947. Dear Diary, I'll be gone soon, but I wanted to tell somebody about what's gonna happen. It started when Mom sent me to bed without dinner. I woke up and I was starving, so I looked around for something to eat. The gerbil food was dry, but I didn't mind it. My Halloween candy was all gone. I thought about eating Christopher, but I held back. I kept eating and eating. Then I heard chirping outside my window.
ちょっと待って、あっちもなんかあった。
I ate a lot of things that night. It was a barn swallow going back to her nest. I reached out for her. And suddenly, I was a cat.
よいしょ。
I tried to be quiet, but the bird was really scared.
よいしょ。よいしょ。こっちかな？どっちだ？こっちか？よいしょ。よいしょ。よいしょ。
Mom and Dad didn't even look at me.
よいしょ。よいしょ。よいしょ。よいしょ。よいしょ。猫ってこんな怖いところに。よいしょ。よいしょ。よいしょ。どこ行ったらいいのこれ。これどこ？ツバメさんどこ？
I could tell she was getting really tired. Now I was up in the big tree. I promised Dad I wouldn't climb it anymore. All I cared about was eating that mama bird. I gobbled her up. And suddenly, I was an owl. First, all I heard was the wind. Then I heard little teeth nibbling in the grass.
ついダブルキーを押して前に進もうとしてしまう。おお。あ、思い出し、これでなんか見つけるんだ。あ、ウサギ、ウサギ、ウサギ、ウサギ、ウサギ、ウサギ、ウサギ、ウサギ。よいしょ。ウサギ平らげるんだこれで。
Imagined his face looking up and seeing mine through my talons. I swallowed him up, and I didn't chew one bit. Then I flew off to find something bigger.
おー。次はどこだ？
A mama rabbit.
お母さんのウサギ。お母さんウサギ。あ、お母さんウサギ。お母さんウサギ。あら。
She was almost too big to carry.
ほ
I
ら
started choking, but I couldn't stop eating. And suddenly, I was a shark.
うえー。私海中恐怖症なんですけど。サメちゃん。あ、なんとか水に中に行かないと。イケアのサメになっちゃう。イケアのサメ。
I rolled off the cliff and into the ocean. Now, I was hungrier than ever.
よっしゃー、もっと魚食うぜ。よっしゃー。ほらほらほらほら。
I wanted
お
fat.
いさ、食べる食べる。アザラシ。アシカ？アシカ隣にいたよね。アシカどこ？アシカどこ行った？アシカどこ行った？アシカ。アシカ隣にいたのに捕まえられなかった。ア ごめん、アシカどこ行った？こっちか？下か？下行った？アシカ。ほんと海中恐怖症だからここのターン早く終わらせたい。アシカこれ？アシカこれか？アザラシじゃないこれ。アシカってか。違うの？違うね、やっぱ、ガブリンチョ。
I tore off her flipper and it tasted really good.
全部食ってやろうぜ。アザラシじゃない？
It grabbed on tight.
ガブリンチ
And I
ョ。
was so hungry, I jumped out of the water.
うわーい。
When I opened my eyes, everything had changed.
これは操作が難しいな。
Now I was a monster, and I smelled people everywhere.
これは操作が難しい。合ってるかな。あ、いたいたいた。
I was big, but I moved real quiet.
うやうやうやうやうや。
Passenger, I was still hungry. And across the water, I smelled something new. Something I had to have, so I swam towards it.
あ、ごめん、私のせいで字幕が見えない。だからそっちに行ってみたの。
I slithered onto the sand, and the good smell went into an old pipe.
おー、また操作が変わる。WASD とね、マウスでね、操作が全然変わってくるんですよ、これ。あ、トイレだ。わっ
I got closer and closer. All my stomach started growling. And suddenly, I was me again. I held my breath for a long time, but I couldn't hear anything. I think it's waiting for me to fall asleep. But it's not going to wait much longer. It needs to feed, and we both know I will be
しゃ、本当
delicious.
に美味しいって。
I'm not sure if I believed all of that, but I'm sure Edie would have.
ゾクゾクしますね。あー、ゾクゾクする。あ、あれ猫？あ、猫。うわー。
This will be obvious later, but my mom never told me any of these stories. Edie would have, but Mom didn't like bringing up the past. Though, when we adopted a stray kitten, she was the one who named it Molly.
へー。
I spent a lot of time in Great-Grandma Edie's room.
イーディひいおばあちゃん。わー、鳥かごがいっぱい。
We got along, and it was a good place to hide from my mom.
へー。
Her room was like a museum.
博物館みたいだね、本当に。
For 500 years, the Finches have been famous throughout Norway for their fortune
おー。
and misfortune.
え？
Odin
お
Finch
ー。
buries the latest victims of the family
すご
curse.
い。
His wife Ingeborg and their newborn son, Johan.
よいしょ。え？
On January 7th,
Okay.
1937, he set sail with his family and his house, hoping to leave the curse behind. But 40-foot waves off the coast of Washington send the house and Odin to the bottom of the sea. Odin's daughter Edie, with husband Sven and baby Molly, step ashore on their new home, Orcas Island. Odin Finch is the first to be buried in the new family cemetery. His daughter Edie is already dreaming of a new Finch house.
Odin.
Whatever's wrong with this family, it goes back a long ways.
えらく長いですね。オーディン。あ、酸素ボンベか。お薬もある。長い間ここで暮らしてたんだな。
Edie gave a big interview about a mole man living under the Finch house. My mom was furious. I hadn't thought of myself as Edith Jr. for a long, long time.
Edith Jr.
One summer, they evacuated the island, but Edie refused to go. For a few weeks, she was a celebrity. When Edie told people Sven was killed by a dragon, she could also have said he was building a dragon-shaped slide that collapsed. She could have, but she didn't.
言えたけどそうとは言えなかった。
Even in her 90s, sometimes Edie seemed a lot younger than my mother. The only trace Grandpa Sam's first wife Kay left on the house was the pink bathroom.
さっき見たバスルームだ。
It was a pretty big trace.
すごい可愛いバスルーム。鍵。 え、これって
There's
さ
a secret in this bathroom.
あ、隠
It's
し
in the
とく
last place you would look. It isn't in the cupboard. It's hidden in this
Oh.
book.
すげえすげえ。
Sven gave Sam an old camera he'd refurbished. He never put it down.
あ、ここ映写機のところか。暗室をこんなところに作ってたとは。あー、戻んなくていい、戻んなくていい。ごめんごめんごめんごめんごめん。ごめんごめん、戻んなくていい。でも、これあれだ。私が大好きなやつだ。もう一回戻ります。映写機のところ戻ります。よいしょ。あ、何？あ、双子の部屋だ、ここ。うわー、すげえな。こんな風に繋がってるなんて。繋がってたんだ。うわー、私ここもすごい好きなの。サムとカルビン。
I knew Grandpa Sam had a twin, and that he never talked about him.
サムとカルビンだ。うわー、見て、ここ。この部屋。サムとカルビンの部屋。うわー、ちょっとやばい。鳥肌やばいかも。ちょっと待って。一旦ちょっと。虹間が。はあ。やばいな。やばいな。これは思っていた以上にちょっと、あれだな。思ってた以上にちょっと、なんか、やばいっすね。これやばいなぁ。実際やるとやばい。いや、ちょっとね、実況とかすごい見てたんだけど、しばらく見るのやめてたんです。自分でやりたくて。カルビンの部屋は、カルビンの部屋から見るとこうなんです。あ、違う。フォートカルビン。はあ。はあ。
I guess my grandpa didn't like history any more than my mom did.
How I Want to Remember My Brother by Sam Finch. The thing I remember is that when he made up his mind, that was it.
うわうわ
My
操
brother
作
said
性
he'd die
難
before
し
he
い。
ate another mushroom. And he did.
うわ操作難
At
しいこれ。
Barbara's funeral, he swore he'd never be afraid again. And he wasn't.
うわ操作むずいこれ。ごめん、酔うかもこれ。まっすぐこけないこれ。まっすぐこけない。まっすぐこけない。あ、こうか。こうでいけるか。こっちか。こうか。こうだわ。あ、こうだ。わ、操作むずっ。こうだ。 操作むずい。
I think Calvin always wanted to fly.
Coming!
じゃあカルビンが亡くなった話か、これは。うわ、これむずい。ブランコこぐの。引くのはいけんだよ。押すのがむずい。よいしょ。私にも限度というものがあってだな。これこっちもやるのか。でこうだ、こうだ。うわむずいこれ。むずい。むずい。
But that day, he finally made up his mind to do it.
「空を飛ぶ」と決めたのかな。私もごめん、体上下に動かしてた。あ、だいぶいけてる。これ柵超えてんな、だいぶ。めちゃめちゃなんかすぐなんかこれいけてないよ。こうか、こういって、こういって、こういって、こういって、こういって、こういって、こういって、こういって、こういって、こういって、こういって、こういって、こういって。頭おかしくなってくる。下がってない。速度下がってないか君。よいしょ。マジになるから、こっちもマジだから。私もカルビンの石つくから。 やばい、速度下がってないかこれ。落ちてる落ちてる落ちてる落ちてる。これ難しいよ結構このゲーム。やばい、私のトラッチングがやばい。でももうこのゲーム私のトラッチングは捨てる。私のトラッチングは捨てる。先にカルビーの意思を継ぐ。私はカルビーになる。やばいやばい、これ全然いけない。こうか、もうシンプルにいこう。こう、いや足りない。やっぱりスパンが足りない。もっと漕がないと。もっと漕ぐよ。もっとここ行ってこう行かないと。もっと漕ぐよ。もっと漕ぐ。もっと漕ぐ。もっと漕ぐ。もっと漕ぐ。よしよしよし、速度出てきた。
I told him going around was impossible. Maybe if I hadn't said that. Maybe if the wind hadn't picked up, then maybe he'd still be here. But I doubt it. I think he'd already made it home. That's what I want to remember about my brother. The day he made up his mind to fly, and he didn't.
Calvin's story felt strangely familiar. When I was younger, I remember trying to do the exact same thing. After the funeral, Edie roped off Calvin's half of the room. Mom said Grandpa Sam enlisted at 18 and never set foot in the room again.
あれ、私やっぱ来た道戻るルートじゃなかった。これやっぱサムのところ行くやつだった。間違えちゃった。 サムのとこ行くやつやったこれ。でもサムの記憶ないんだよな、私。サムってなんだっけ。サムの記憶ないんだよな、私。でも一族の中にはいるはずだからサムもあるはずなんだよな。あった。わあおおうわー、なんてすごいことに。うわなんじゃこりゃ。どういう施工してあるんだ。
The passages were a pretty tight fit.
よう入れ
They'd
るな。
obviously been built for smaller hands and bellies.
よいしょ。出た、バーバラの部屋行ける。ちょっと待って、バーバラさ、私肖像画見てないだろ。これをビッグフットを見てなか
Whenever
ったの。
people ask me about my family, the first thing they always want to know about is Barbara.
バーバラすげえ、ワインケースから入れるんだ。すごい。ワインケースか。これ何、衣装ケース。
Growing up, I always thought of Barbara as a child star.
ワインケースか衣装ケースにこんな風に。はあ。そして子役スターだった時の頃の華やかな部屋。うわー、すごい。
I never thought about how hard it must have been for her afterwards.
うわー。
Of all the stories people wrote about Barbara's death, I'm surprised Edie saved this one.
これも私よく覚えてる。
with another ghastly tale inspired by America's most unfortunate family. I'm calling it The Surprise Ending of Barbara Finch. As a child star, Barbara was famous for her scream. Now at 16, she was all washed up. A has-been. But in a lucky break, she'd been asked to perform her signature scream at a local convention for monster movie fans. It was just the boost her career needed. Unfortunately, her scream hadn't aged well.
Getting better. I think you just need the right motivation.
Her biggest fan and current boyfriend, Rick, was about to demonstrate when...
Now that was a great scream.
It was Barbara's father, Sven. He'd slipped into a table saw and had to be rushed to the emergency room. So Barbara got stuck babysitting her youngest brother, Walter. Her convention comeback was cancelled.
Okay, I'm hearing frustration, but I'm not hearing terror. What if I tried...
A gang of hoodlums in Halloween masks have been terrorizing Orcas Island tonight. Police are urging residents to...
That came from the basement.
You're right! Also, I loved your delivery on that. Why is your basement door locked?
Because my dad likes making puzzles and secret passages. There's a key hidden in the music box.
この頃に
The
鍵が隠されてる
secret
の。
is to keep winding
巻
and
き続けて
winding
さらに巻き
until
続
finally
け
the
と
key pops out.
Thanks, babe. I'll be back in a sec.
20 minutes
あ
later,
りがと
Rick hadn't returned. So Barbara went to look for him, right on cue. She She reached for the music box.
おお。あ、
And
こ
as
っ
she
ちか。
rounded
左
the
回しか。
She listened for Rick, but the house was silent.
うわー、なんだこれ。これは、あれの音じゃん。
She found Rick's crutch and imagined the worst.
うわー、さすがにここまでは覚えてない。どこに打ったらいいのこれ。あ、こうか。
The gang's leader is the infamous Hookman killer, Dr. Carl Hamill, who impaled and then ate his family 10 years ago tonight.
わわ
Rattled and grew still.
わ
Rick?
Rick?
Barb, relax. I was just trying to scare you to help you find your scream.
Well, I'm not scared, Rick. I'm furious.
Then act furious. All I'm getting from you now is that you're hurt and confused and
She threw him out,
た
but she kept a little something to remember him by.
Barb, have you seen my other crutch?
And she was still holding it when she fell asleep watching the late picture show. Hours later...
Barbara! Walter, what's going on up there? Ah!
ウォルター
Okay, I'm coming up. But if this is a trick, you're dead, Walter.
2階だよねウォルター。うわウォルターの部屋ってどっちだっけ。ああこっちだ。ウォルターウォルターこっちか。
Walter had vanished, but his bedside radio was still on.
Orcas Island police describe the man as 6 feet tall, with a steel hook for a hand. Residents are urged to lock all doors and windows and notify the police of any suspicious activity.
Barbara turned, saw the hookman, and was speechless. He was quite smashing. And he couldn't get enough of Barbara.
Okay, Barbara, there's gotta be another way out of here.
どっかに抜け道。どっかに抜け道。あー、これか。
That night, she played her part beautifully.
あー、モリーの部屋。モリーの部屋からトイレ行けるかな。トイレじゃない。やっぱ窓かな。
She thought about abandoning Walter.
あー、そっか、ウォルターを置いていけない。ウォルターを探さないと。
Molly's door hadn't been opened in years.
うわ
The hinges groaned.
ー、うわー。え？うわー。
He wasn't moving, but she sensed the story might not.
終わらないの？私これ覚えてない。でも最後ああなるはず。あ、いない。
Had vanished. She listened for his breathing, but all she heard was.
リンドに出ちゃダメだよ、こんなん。
Someone at the door was dying to speak to young Barbara. At the door, she heard whispering. It was coming from inside the house.
うわ、
Oh dear.
The monsters had come to surprise her. For Barbara, it was a dream come true. Then she saw what kind of monsters they were, and she realized what was about to happen. She was going to be famous. And with her final breath, Barbara Finch gave the performance of her life. I wasn't there myself, but I hear Barbara was magnificent. Poor girl. She had a taste for stardom. But unfortunately, so did her fans. Of course, the police blamed it all on poor Rick, who disappeared the same night. And little Walter? Hiding under his bed the whole time. He took it all pretty hard, but that's another story. As for Barbara, tucked inside the music box is all they ever found of her. Her ear. Now that's what I call a real eerie tale.
Edie told me all Barbara wanted was to be remembered, as absurd as that comic was. Maybe what Edie saw was a happy ending.
Barbara も好きだな。うわ、ずっと残してあったんだ。
I guess now I know why Mom didn't like me playing with the music box.
オルゴール。もうすでにオルゴールの場所どこか忘れた。オルゴール。
It's funny. All those times I played with the music box and never found the basement key.
回し続けると。オルゴール。しかしオルゴールどこだっけ？どこだっけ？どこだっけ？暗いからわかんないよ。ここか？暗いからわかんないよ。夕焼けだからさ、今さ。夕焼けだからさ。暗くてさ。あ、1階だっけ？
I wonder if that comic was right about there being a key inside the music box near the
ごめんなさい、
basement.
ごめんなさい。ごめんなさい、ごめんなさい。遅くてごめん。2階に地下室の鍵があるわけだよね。そうだそうだ。これですね。すいません。でもまだまだ回し続けると、おー、鍵。 式が出てきた。地下室も結構好きだった覚えがあるよ。でも地下室ってこんな早く出てきたっけ？私が覚えていた地下室と違うかな。
Mom said the basement was off limits, unless I wanted another tetanus shot.
そう、スベンがこれ怪我したっつってたね。
I saw Edie sneak down to the basement once, carrying packages.
地下室の話ってこんな早く出たっけ？
I thought maybe she was hiding presents.
おーいしょ。
It turned out she was hiding a lot more than that.
暗くてわからん。あ、もうこんな早くにこんな早くだっけ？地下室って。地下室の話も大好きなんですよ、私。
She said after Barbara died, he got as far away as he could.
大好きなんですよ、地下
If there's
室
a
の
pattern
話。
in all these stories, I think it's that none of us has gotten very far.
大好きです、私。ウォルター。1952年から2005年。すごい。大好きです、私、ウォルターの話。私もなんかもうこうやってくださいと思ってた時ある。もはや。うわぁ。つか全部好きだわ。
Goodbye, everyone. I can't believe I've been down here for 30 years. On that first day, after the shaking started, I didn't think I'd survive a week. But after a few days, I settled into a routine. That's what kept me sane. Having a schedule, living for today.
桃缶なんですよ、これ。桃缶食べてるんです。
I always expected to be dead tomorrow. But if you wait long enough, you get used to anything. Even a monster on the other side of the door starts to feel normal. Almost friendly. And then one day, everything just stopped. Whatever that thing was, it was gone. Maybe it got tired of waiting. Or maybe I just got tired of being afraid.
あ、2005年になっちゃった、もう。
It's been a week now, the longest in 30 years. I'm done waiting. I have to leave while I still can.
もっと下がある。嘘、もっと下あるんだって、これ。覚えてなかったわ。いや、さすがに全部は覚えてない。桃缶のとこしか印象に残ってなかった。嘘、こんな下あったっけ？
I know it's out there somewhere. Whatever killed Barbara and Molly and Calvin Maybe this is all a mistake. But I need to stop living the same day, even if it kills me. Whatever's out there, I want you to know I'm ready for it. I'm going to appreciate all of it, especially the food. I don't mind if I only have a year left, or a month, or a single week. I'd be happy with one new day. I can already imagine the sun on my face.
Walter died when I was 6. I can't believe my mom never told me he was down here. I'm sure my mom was trying to protect me.
私が見たのは車の光だったんですよね。朝日だと思ったら。
Maybe she was afraid I'd end up like Walter. But if she never told me about an uncle under the house, I can only imagine what else she was hiding. I don't want to make the same mistakes she made. Trying to bury something that's still alive. Now that there's only one of us left, or maybe 2, I thought it was time I heard the stories for myself and found out what happened to everyone else. But now I'm worried the stories themselves might be the problem. Maybe we believed so much in a family curse, we made it real. I don't know if I should even be writing this.
なんか外来たことあるな。外の風景なんか思い出す。
Maybe it'd be better if all this just died with me. But I thought you should know about your family. And the history you're a part of. Though to be honest, I feel as lost as you probably do right now. I think the people in these stories believed them, for what that's worth. And when you look at the house, had that history of imagination and stubbornness and madness. Any of it seems possible. I think we've been surrounded by death for so long, we've just gotten used to it. What kind of family finishes building a cemetery before starting the house?
下行っちゃっていいのかな。こっちがあるのか。
It's embarrassing for me to admit this, but the pet cemetery made me more uncomfortable than the human one. 3 of the gerbils were mine, and 2 had been my fault. Sven built the house, but it was Edith who designed the cemetery.
Sven, Edith, Calvin, Molly.
I'm sure Odin's monument had been Edie's idea. My mom was always trying to move on, but for Edie, the past never went away. She could see it poking out of the water at low tide. Edie said she dreamed about the old house every night.
What? これが前の家?
But the older I get, the more I can see where my mom was coming from. Her dad had been pretty strict, but it wasn't enough to save her brothers. She was just trying to do better.
Gregory. この部屋もう墓石を作る人がいなくなっちゃったね。
She lost 2 of her brothers, just like I did. I get why she tried so hard to protect us.
ミルトン、サンジェイ。
We never found Milton's body, so my mom insisted we were putting up a monument, not a tombstone. There's so many things I wish I could ask my mom now. Part of me thinks this is what she wanted all along. For me to come back someday and find everything out for myself.
もう結構じゃあ中盤だなこれ。
But looking back on it now, if she told me there was going to be so much climbing, I never would have come when I was 22 weeks pregnant.
22週目でこんなところを歩いちゃいけません。危ないバカ。
I never met Grandpa Sam, but I think he and my mom had a lot in common.
これはもうだいぶ新しい家ですね、これは。
They were both pretty intense. Sam spent his life shooting photos, but Mom said he got nervous being in front of the camera. I guess we're all afraid of something.
さっき空を飛んだ方の双子の人で、私のおじいちゃんにあたる人ですね。ちょ戻さなくて飽きる。操作が難しいっての。あ、今見たらお腹が大きいですね。なんかそれまで気づかなかったけど。
Dawn, I promise, you'll never forget this weekend.
Yes, sir.
These memories are gonna last a lifetime.
Am I gonna have to shoot anything?
It's a hunting trip, Dawn. Shooting is strongly encouraged.
Shouldn't we be leaving?
Just want to get a shot of you, Dawn, then we can take off.
What?
Perfect.
It's gonna rain the whole weekend, isn't it? Please just take the damn picture.
Hey, language.
I will never forget this weekend, Dad.
That's the spirit. Okay, got it.
I'm gonna take some pictures, okay?
Just be careful. That camera's older than you are.
Aw. You're right, Dad. It's starting to clear up. Still freezing, though.
Definitely should not have drunk all that coffee.
Hold.
Hey!
That's a keeper.
Nothing quite like being outside. I'm just saying, I'm not always gonna be here, Dawn. You'll need to remember this stuff, if you want to survive.
I'll be fine, Dad.
You know who else thought he was gonna be fine?
Some guy who died.
Dawn, I'm being serious.
I know, Dad. You're always serious. Doesn't being out here make you want to chill out?
Well, to tell you the truth, I haven't been out here in 20 years. Dawn, don't you think you could find something more interesting to photograph? Last time I was with my brother Calvin. Man, that was a great trip. Your grandpa Sven taught us how to fish, how to build a fire. We found an old logging trail. There were deer everywhere.
Dad!
Good eyes, Dawn. Before you take the shot, let me get a picture of you.
Dad, I...
Let me get behind you.
Do I have to do this?
Dawn, you don't have to do anything. But if you want to survive, you'll need to be strong. Keep yourself squared up. Elbows. Great shot, Dawn! I'm proud of you, Dawn. Always remember that, okay? Sorry, Dawn. Just gotta reset the timer.
また難しいことを要求してくる。
Dad, it's twitching. I think
That's
it's
totally normal, Don. Just focus on the camera. Try not to think about
Dad!
Of all these stories, that's the one I wish most that my mom had told me.
Yeah, もうちょっと見たいな。でも暗いな。
Instead of hiding from death, Sam seemed to go out of his way to meet it.
Okay. 草のものかな。すごい屋根裏だ。うわあ。
After Sam died, my mom and Edie got really close. They'd both lost a lot.
あ、グレゴリーの部屋。こんなに近くにあったんだ。あ、ガスの部屋。グレゴリーとガス。
Dear Kay, do you remember the way Gregory used to laugh when he thought he was alone? Like something funny was happening, but only he could see it. I think he saw things the rest of us don't.
Gregory, it's time to... Hold on, sweetie. Hello? Sam, I told you I don't want to talk right now.
I wonder what he saw.
難しい。これもう操作が難しい。操作むずい。
What his world was like.
ああ、こういう感じか。
He reminded me so much of Calvin. Lost in his imagination. Whatever it was he saw, it sure made him happy.
これ本当に泣いちゃうの私。ダメなんだよこれ。操作が本当に難しいんだこれ。本当に操作難しいこれ。操作が本当に難しいんだこれ。泣いちゃうことがなんか本当に分かんなくなってくるぐらい本当に操作が難しいこれ。 こで OKOK。
I know how silly it sounds. That I worried about a baby being too happy. But I could feel him slipping away.
Sorry about that, Gregory.
I know you did everything you could. Maybe if I hadn't called that night.
Hold on, I don't want Gregory to hear
I wish he could have told us about the world he saw. There's so much I don't understand about Gregory, about everything. But I know what happened wasn't your fault. Sure as hell. Good luck, Kay. Love, Sam.
I can't imagine my mom ever writing poetry, and yet...
A poem for Gus, who always said the wedding was a bad idea. Our father never hit us kids, at least not very hard, before the day my brother said with teenage disregard that he'd be dead before he'd see a wedding in our yard. My father made him come, of course, but Gus stood far apart, just flew his kite and bottled up the storm inside his heart.
難しい子や。涙が吹っ飛ぶくらい難しい。
I tried to talk him out of it, but though he'd never met her, we don't need a stepmom were the words that
I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss the bride.
When the time for photos came, Dad ordered him to come here. But Gus declined, and as a sign held up his middle finger. Wind picked up, and panicked geese appeared and quickly went. But all the humans did that day was go inside the tent.
うわ、もう風がこんなに。
The rain came down in buckets then, but no one seemed afraid that nature might destroy the tent our dad had crudely made.
風がこんなに。うわ。
The thunder sounded much too close and full of angry power. But all my father said to this was, "Make the music louder." I wish that I could truly say I thought about you on that day. Out there on the beach alone, just you, the wind, the sea, and foam. But I didn't. Until we found you.
She never talked about him, but Mom told me once if I was a boy, they were going to name me Gus.
すごいさ、ちっぽけな部屋だね、ガスの部屋は。ダウン、英語読めない。リスペクト。ドーン、ガス、ドーン、グレゴリー。3人いたのかな。チームワーク、リスペクト。捨てない。上もあるんだ。水飲もう。あー、どうしよう。今日ここまでにしようかな。もうちょっとやるかな。すごいこれ、こんな風にされてたんだ。あ、すごい、ボルダリングの壁。
My mom moved up to the loft after her brothers died. At the time, it was as far away as she could get.
妊娠して身重の体にこんなとこにいさせんな。あ、これが母の部屋。母の部屋。
Religion was another thing my mom never talked about, but I think it helped her a lot after her dad died. She spent a summer building houses in Calcutta, where she met my dad, Sanjay. My mom moved to India a week after graduation and got a job teaching English. Louis was born a year later. When my dad died, I don't think Mom knew where else to go.
あ、ドーンの部屋。ドーン。
I'm sure Edie was happy to have her back.
見るといいです。
The house had to get a little bigger, but Edie was used to that.
一番最上階じゃない？教室になってる。
And for a while, things were good. Almost normal.
一番最上階だ。
But it didn't last. The beginning of the end was Milton's 10th birthday, when Edie gave him a castle.
ミルトン10歳の誕生日。ミルトン。
After Milton disappeared, the only thing he left behind was a room full of paintings.
ミルトンの部屋覚えてないな。92年から先が書いてないんだ。ああ、王様のやつか。え、王様のやつここだっけ？え、ミルトンって王様だっけ？あ、ミルトンってあれか、死体が見つかってない子か。あ、じゃあ王様か。油絵で全部塗りつぶして行方不明になった子だ。
Milton Finch in The Magic Paintbrush.
おー、難しいことしてくるね。全然わからないの。おー、難しいことしてくるね。
I was 4 when Milton disappeared.
え、ミルトンってこれでおしまいだっけ？あ、じゃあ王様は別か。ミルトンってこれでおしまいなんだ。うわー、これでおしまいなんだ。
Mom spent months searching for my brother. Then she sealed the doors. Whatever Milton had found in the house, Mom didn't want it getting out. Mom definitely blamed Edie, but I think Lewis blamed himself. After he graduated, he just spent more and more time in his room. Until Mom got him a job at the cannery.
缶詰工場が王様か。じゃあ絶対なんか関係あるって。ミルトンとルイスは。あれこれが。もう家の構造がわけわからん。どうやって行ったらいいのこれ。何この管制室。ルイス。
Everyone always told me to stay out of Lewis's room. Except Lewis.
絶対ルイスとミルトン関係あるじゃん。すごい船だ。なんかこれも憧れたんだよな私。船を家に建て増ししてるみたいな感じのやつ。よいしょ。これも もちょっと憧れてたんだ。あー、水タバコある。
Lewis's room smelled very, very familiar. That part of him lived on.
はあ。
Lewis and I spent a lot of time playing games together, but he was surprisingly bad at them. He died a lot. He was so proud of being Indian. I think for him, it was a way to be something other than just a Finch.
Dear Mrs. Finch, as Lewis's psychiatrist, I can understand your desire for an explanation. As I see it, the trouble began in January, shortly after we convinced your son to seek treatment for substance abuse. Newly sober, I believe Lewis first noticed the monotony of his daily life. He kept working at the cannery, but he withdrew part of himself. In our sessions, I saw the same behavior. His mind began to wander. I asked him to describe it. He said he started small.
難しいこれ今何私が何やってるかわかりますこれ。これ私が今何やってるかわかります？
Feel his way about. Then something moved. Bats. And toads. And things that have not names.
あ、やばいやばいやばいやばい。鮭が。
He knew it was all in his head. But he took it very seriously. I had hoped he'd find himself. But he found something more.
あー、やばいやばいやばい。うわー、やばいやばいって。やばいってやばいって。ジェームスやばいって。ジェームスやばいって。ジェームスやばいって。ジェームスやばいって。
I spoke with his boss.
頭良すぎるってこいつ。
But he said Lewis had become a model employee.
ちょっと待って、こんなん絶対事故で小指なくなる。
Focused.
小指なくなる。小指なくなるってこんな。なんも事故で手なくなるこんな。
So I let him go on. I even encouraged him. It seemed very promising at first. He told me he'd made a new friend. On the edge of a city he named Lewis Topia. He built the city up slowly, brick by brick. Then he made musicians.
絶対小指なくなってます私。よう小指なくならんわ。絶対小指なくなった。
He talked about starting a band. And he was always humming something.
歌ってたんだね。
Every day
ルイス
his
トピアのミュ
imagination
ー
grew
ジッ
stronger.
ク流してたんだ。あー、鮭。あ
He no
ー、
longer
タミよ。
spoke at the cannery,
もう分かってるよ、タミ。
but his chopping was as reliable as ever. Then one day it struck him. But all the cheering crowds, even the stones under his feet, were all in his imagination. So he could do whatever he wished. He held an election for mayor. And he won. They begged him to stay, but his mind was already wandering. It became a game for him.
まだ鮭やるかい。
He'd conquer a city, then immediately push on.
鮭やる、今鮭やってます。
New
鮭やってます。操作性むずいってこれ。
St. Louis. He started drifting away from our reality.
操作性むずいってこれ。むずいってこれ。むずいってこれ。むずいってこれ。
Minneapolis. Until one day he forgot to go home from the cannery. Even as his mother pleaded with him, part of Lewis kept sailing on.
工場から帰るのすら忘れていた。
In Lewisburg, he heard rumors of a beautiful prince. The prince was on his own quest for radiant rainbows.
鮭は見えるけど。虹くぐりたい。虹くぐりたい。やばいやばい。
He followed the sound of his
いやー、エレキスタンかな。
electric sitar. His chase led him to a golden palace east of the sun and west of the moon. Even then, his logic remained sound. He knew the world was all in his imagination. But he was so proud of having created it. In his own eyes, he'd become something greater than a king. For someone who'd never known success in the real world, I think it was overwhelming. And then it struck him that the real Lewis was not the one chopping salmon, but the one climbing the steps of a golden palace. My imagination is as real as my body, he told me. It was hard to argue with him. He began to forget the world we know. I think it pained him to remember Lewis, the cannery worker. He began to despise the man with a royal contempt. I still thought I could save him. Even after he said he was being crowned king over all the lands of wonder. The palace would be packed with his companions. Including the wise Calico who'd insisted on inviting me. His prince waited, holding his crown. There was only one thing left to do. Bend down his head. And the rest I think you know. Mrs. Finch, your son was a kind man who will be missed by all of us who knew him.
My brother was really cool. I wish you could have met him.
Oh, 王様あった。これは記憶に残ってる人多いんじゃないかな。
On the way back from Lewis's funeral, my mom told me to start packing. She waited until the day before we left to tell Edie. I'm not sure if she wanted to make it easier or harder. I wish we'd stayed. But I understand why we left. My mom ended up leaving everything behind.
Don Finch.
What happened that night had been coming for a long time. Maybe it should have come sooner. But it had to end one way or another. All that's left now is to tell you about that last night. That whole last day, Edie just watched us pack and didn't say a word. Until supper, when she raised her glass and said,
"To our final night together, and all our final nights apart."
Grandma, you know what I said about alcohol. Some of your medications are very
Edith,
specific.
I left a present for you in the hallway. Why don't you go open it? The grown-ups have to argue now.
I'm sorry, you're right. We're all leaving tomorrow. Let's just enjoy our last...
I'm not leaving.
Edith, you're excused.
The power had been shut off that morning, but Edie always had plenty of candles. When my mom sealed the library, I don't think she knew about the other entrance, or that Edie had a key to it.
That thing you're afraid of isn't going to end when you leave the house. Edith has a right to know these stories.
My children are dead because of your stories. I think it's best if Edith and I leave tonight. We'll have the nursing home send a van for you in the morning, okay?
Dear Edith, there's so many stories I wish I could tell you, but there's only time for one. This is about what happened on the night you were born. That night, the tide went way, way out. It was the first and last time I ever saw the old house aground. There'd been an earthquake out in the middle of the ocean. They called it the lowest tide in 1,000 years. God, it smelled awful. You know, I've seen that house every day of my life. But I never thought I'd go back to it. When the fog rolled in, I lost my way. I got turned around. For a while, I wandered.
さまようこれは。
I started seeing things.
あ、鹿だ。
Things I'd forgotten had ever existed.
え、どこ？
But when I saw them, they felt like old friends. That night, a lot of things came back to me.
昔の家だ。
Or maybe I came back to them. Things I can't explain, but that I need you to try and...
Edith, what are you doing in here?
It's mine!
Edith!
Mom, you're gonna rip it! Let go! I kicked and screamed, but Mom dragged me to the car. I never saw Great-Grandma Edie again. The next morning, the van came to pick her up, but she was already gone. After that, we moved around a lot. We both tried to make the best of it. A few years went by. My mom didn't like to talk about it. But she started getting sick a lot. The rest happened pretty quickly.
あ、ドーンってあなたのことか。
She got better for a while, and then she didn't. And then I was alone.
あなたのことだったんだ。
The last Finch left alive. Until I found out about you. I'm still not sure what to tell you about all this. If we lived forever, maybe we'd have time to understand things. But as it is, I think the best we can do is try to open our eyes. And appreciate how strange and brief all of this is. This journal was supposed to be for you. But now I hope you'll never see it. I just want to meet you and tell you all these stories myself. But I guess if you're reading this now, things didn't work out that way. This is where your story begins. I'm sorry I won't be there to see it. It's a lot to ask, but I don't want you to be sad that I'm gone. I want you to be amazed that any of us ever had a chance to be here at all. Good luck.
いやー、名作ですね。名作ですね。これは本当に。いやー、これはね、マジでね、名作だわ。いや、大好きなのよ、私このゲーム。めちゃめちゃ実況を見ていたんですよ、一時期。もうしばらく見ないでいて、それはまあ自分でやりたかったっていうのがあって、自分でやってよかった。実際にやってなんか感じるものがヨハンの名前。やっぱねカエルのところ本当に泣いちゃうんだよね。でもなんか実況の時はうるって感じだったけど、なんかもう今回は本当になんかもう声を上げざるを得ないぐらい泣いちゃったな。私はなんか自分の死生観的にはカエルのところと地下室、桃缶の地下室のところが自分の死生観的にすごい合ってるんですよ。なんですごい共感できるとしたらあの辺かな。でなんか好み的にはバーバラとか終わり方もすごい好きだけどね。 もルイスは人気だろうな。このクレジットもすごいな。このクレジットもすごいな、ちょっと。クレジットまですごいな。いやー、すごい。名作だよね、本当にフィンチ系は。いやー、すごいな。なんか、あと、音楽もやっぱりいいね。うわー、よかった。そうだね、なるほどね。他から来た人も書いてあるけど。いやー、名作だった。終わります。じゃあ、ありがとうございました。